Hey guys, this is NinjaX bringing you a Dota 2 strategy video. Today's episode is focused on creativity and innovation. Before I jump right into it, I want to point out that one of the biggest factors in limiting a player's creativity and innovation is the community itself. The big challenge is that the internet is a hive mind. People agree because other people agree. New players will blindly follow builds not because they truly understand the advantages and disadvantages of the build. They trust in the build because other people trust in the build. People are often ridiculed in pub games for going unconventional builds. It is very easy to make fun of what is different than to appreciate what is different. It happens in school, it happens in life, and it happens in Dota. But let me ask you, when a professional player goes weird builds like Mask of Madness on Queen of Pain, or Yasha Face Boots on Tiny, or even Desolator on Lina, do you think they care if the community makes fun of them? Not only do they not care about that, the pros make the weird builds work in their favor. I don't want to sound like I'm rambling on, but the point is to be creative, you have to be different. You have to step away from the hive mind mentality. You have to step up and do what is not normal. You have to prepare to get hated. Your teammates will make fun of you for trying your unique builds, and if you post it on the internet, people will flame you for your efforts. But for the brave ones who are willing to withstand the negativity, you will be rewarded with fun and interesting builds that suits your personal playstyle and make you stand out from the rest. With that said, I present to you how to make unique pup builds. I want to break this down into 3 steps. Number 1, it's finding an inspiration. Number 2, it's adjusting goal in your gameplay. And finally, number 3, it's about refining. I'm going to go into an example to illustrate the steps. The first step is to find an inspiration. And in reality, there isn't a clear way to do it. The only advice is to keep your minds open to ideas. And as I mentioned before, instead of rejecting what is not normal, learn to embrace it. When I was making this guide, I looked through the Dota 2 wiki for ideas. One thing that caught my attention was Rod of Atos. I wonder why this item isn't a more popular choice. It offers great stats to an intelligence hero. It gives him good survivability and a 50% slow. I wanted to make this item work. That was my inspiration. So I looked through the hero list and saw Death Prophets. It just feels like Rod of Atos would fit. Death Prophet benefits from every aspect of the Rod. The intelligence gain, the extra HP, and the slow for chasing or retreating. So that's my inspiration. The second step is about adjusting. It's adjusting from what you already know. Usually when I build Death Prophet, I go Arcane Boots, disassemble into Bloodstone, and then make Phase Boots. That's a pretty cookie cutter build that I'm sure most experienced players wouldn't disagree too much with. The key is to adjust from this style to my new idea, so I'm going to quickly run through some numbers. The cookie cutter build uses 6,450 gold. Now I want to keep the new build around the same gold requirements. Since the Rod of Atos only costs 3,100, I now have 3,350 gold left over to play with. The big question now is how to adjust my leftover gold. With Rod of Atos, I get good mana, but without Bloodstone, I'm gonna need health regeneration to stay alive. So you know what? I'm gonna go Tranquil Boots. It's a cheap boot that fulfills a lot of my needs. It gives me regeneration, good move speed, and a little bit of armor to increase my survivability. And best of all, I still have around 2,300 gold to finish my build. So to finish the build, I'm gonna have to address the weakness in mana regeneration. So I'm gonna go Yule Scepters of Divinity. It's going to solve any mana problems in the late game. I can spam my spells over and over again. The Cyclone gives me great utility. It can disable an enemy during team fights. I can even pop my ultimate and Cyclone myself to let the ghost do damage. On top of that, I get incredible move speed so I can chase and retreat easily. Yes, the total gold cost is slightly higher, but the fact that Yule's components are easy to build up, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Now that I'm done adjusting my gold, I have to adjust my gameplay. Both builds are going to give me great mana regeneration and move speed. That's the same. What I have to adjust is that my total health is lower and my health regeneration is lower. In this case, I can say something like, I have to be a little bit more conservative with charging into teamfights because of the lower HP. But the power of this build is that I can get far more utility in teamfights with Rod of Athos as slow and Yule's Cyclone. That's it. I don't have to go too in depth into the math. The key is to understand the main difference between the builds and making small adjustments to your play to push your unique build to its highest potential during an actual game. The final step is refining. This step is about polishing the details. For example, what should be my starting items? Do I get Vitality Booster first or Staff of Wizardry first? When do I complete Tranquil Boots? Should I hold on to a Sage's Mask in the early mid-game just to assist my mana regeneration? The answer to all those questions comes down to playtesting. This is where you have to join a game and try out your crazy ideas. Remember, if someone flames you for it, who gives a crap? Now for the remainder of this guide, I'm going to leave this step out just because a lot of it comes down to personal experience during your playtesting. So I will leave this up to you when you do make your own builds. Anyways, that's my unique pub build. If you see anyone doing this from now on, it's the NinjaX Death Prophet build. Overall, it's pretty conservative. The playstyle of Death Prophet remains similar, and the biggest adjustment is really on how I spend my gold. So now I want to jump into a more extreme example where the biggest adjustment comes from gameplay. Let's go back to the first step, finding an inspiration. I looked through the hero list and looked at Juggernauts. Most people spend their early mid-game farming so they can carry late game with raw damage. My cookie cutter build for Juggernaut is usually Poor Man's Shield, Phase Boots, Battle Fury, and then an extension item depending on the game. Sometimes it's a Black King Bar, sometimes maybe a Scepter or a Butterfly. Either way, the playstyle is focused on carrying mid-late game. However, when I looked at Juggernaut's ability, Blade Fury can clear creep waves really fast, and the Healing Ward's heal is really high. Just for comparison, a Heart gives you 2% max HP per second regeneration, whereas the Ward at level 4 gives your entire team 5% max HP regeneration per second. That's a lot of pushing power. The limiting factor is of course Juggernaut's lack of mana, so unlike the previous example, it's not just about adjusting gold, it's shifting the entire playstyle of a traditional cookie cutter Juggernaut to a pushing Juggernaut. To complement this change in playstyle, I will also have to lower my total gold requirements because I want to be effective early game, not late game. The biggest issue to solve is Juggernaut's mana, so I'm going to make a Soul Ring early. The life loss is easily compensated by Healing Wards. By going Soul Ring, I can max Blade Fury and Healing Wards early, rather than investing skill points into stats like the traditional build. To make myself more survivable during pushes, I'm going to make a Poor Man's Shield and Treads, mostly for strength. In reality, that's all I need to start pushing. Pop Soul Ring, Blade Fury to clear creep waves, and drop a ward and damage their towers. By maxing wards early, your team's pushing power is surprisingly high. If you combo it with Chen, Nature's Prophet, or Enchantress's creeps, the pushing power is quite unstoppable in the early mid-game. With the extra money I get afterwards, I'm going to build Manta style for additional pushing power, but more importantly, it's going to help me transition into mid-late game as Blade Dance becomes a more relevant source of damage. Looking at this playstyle, not only are my core items far cheaper, my extension items are cheaper. So instead of spending early mid-game sitting in lane last hitting, I'm going around taking multiple towers. If my team already has a hard carry, or if my team is focused on a pushing strategy, this is a viable build. I don't care what the cookie cutter guides say, I don't care if people make fun of me. If the situation calls for it, I'm going to use this build and wreck the enemy base. I hope this example shows you how you can drastically change the playstyle of a hero, then adjusting your goal to tie it all together and make it complement the playstyle's strengths and weaknesses. To finish this video off, I want to do one last example. But I don't want to do just any example. I want to do an example that's so fucking extreme, so out of this world, that if I ever posted this build outside the context of this guide, I would get hate mails all day and flamed out of the internet forever. Are you guys ready? I said I was gonna do it, so I'm gonna do it. NinjaX's guide to support anti-mage. That's right, you heard me, support anti-mage. Before I move on, I want to be perfectly clear. This is a pub build. You're probably not going to see pro teams draft anti-mage for his support potential. But if you ever find yourself picking anti-mage and your team picks Faceless Void, Spectre, Phantom Assassin, and Outroad Destroyer, remember this guide, and it will be your chance to shine. That's my inspiration. Let's move on to adjusting. I want to change the traditional playstyle of AFK farm for 30 minutes to a style that has great lane presence in the early mid game while still having great teamfight potential during the mid-late game. The first thing that caught my attention is Mana Break. It's a lot of bonus damage early game, and most heroes can't afford to trade hits with you as a result. We all know that most heroes without mana isn't a threat in the early game, so if I can utilize this skill in the laning phase, I can secure control of my lane and let my teammate free farm. While the traditional anti-mage spends most of his early game last hitting, what I have concluded is going Tranquil Boots first for harassment. While the traditional choice of Ring of Health is great because it builds up nicely into Vanguard or Battle Fury, but for this build, I'm not aiming for those items. With Tranquil Boots' 80 bonus move speed and Anti-Mage's great base move speed, I can just walk right in to trade hits with the enemy, and instead of relying on Blink to engage, I can save it to retreat and immediately heal back faster than any of them because of Tranquil Boots. I can rely on this tactic to easily take control of the lane early without a lot of gold investments. Tranquil Boots is a nice little package that complements my playstyle very well. Another cheap item I want to add is Poor Man's Shield. The block is great for trading hits with enemies, and the +6 agility is a nice bonus. For its price, Poor Man's Shield is a great choice for early game presence. While in the early game seems to be easy to figure out, the challenge is making this playstyle useful in the mid-late game team fights. The traditional anti-mage relies on raw damage and Manta-style illusions to right-click enemies down. Clearly, this playstyle doesn't have the luxury of gold. Even rushing Manta can be quite a challenge, as it is almost 5,000 gold, and your illusions are not going to survive long enough without a Vanguard or a Hearts. So if I have decided on going Necrobook as its core item, Necrobook is a cheap item for a support hero to build, so I can afford a few set of wards here and there. Most importantly, it complements anti-mage style of mana denial. During teamfight, instead of relying on auto attacks from my fragile hero, I can send in my Necro dudes, drain their mana. Once the enemies have casted their key spells, I can move in for a couple more hits and finish someone off with my ultimates. As the game progresses, I will continue to buy support items like wards or dusts, but I also have the option of upgrading my Necrobook, so I still can contribute in the late game teamfights. The result of all this is an anti-mage playstyle that doesn't rely on tons of farm. You have great ability to shut down lanes in the early game by trading hits and draining mana, and you can still fulfill your theme of mana denial during mid to late game, while the entire time you're playing as a true support. Some of you guys want to support anti-mage, and honestly, I first said it as a joke, but all it takes is an inspiration, learning how to adjust, and refining it. Those are all the examples I have for you now. I hope you walk away from this video not just learning 3 funky builds, but the ability to do this yourself. I want you guys to have the guts to follow your instincts, no matter how ridiculous it sounds in the beginning, and make it work. Don't listen to other people's hates. Remember, creativity is not about rejecting new ideas because the hive mind disagrees. It's about embracing innovation despite the entire world disagreeing. So get it done, get inspired. I really hope to see a lot more unique builds in the future. Anyways, This is NinjaX signing out, and I'll see you guys next time.